Happy Friday evening. It's time to talk 49ers Falcons. I know we've already done that on this channel this week, but now we have our official game preview. So I'm going to tweet it out, have our friends join us on the other platform, and then we're going to get into a few keys in this game. So, will the 49ers beat the Falcons? I think a lot of you already know what my idea of the answer is. If you read the article that's up on the screen, on the Athletic, then you definitely know because I put my prediction in there. I'll get to my prediction at the end of this segment where we'll go through 7 key things that the 49ers must accomplish to beat the Falcons. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the Athletic, go ahead and do so now. It's a perfect Christmas gift, too, for your dad, anybody in your family that loves the 49ers or just loves football, loves any sport. We get into it deeper than basically anybody else. I mean, this is the 3 keys areas in which the 49ers have evolved this year, but not without lingering concerns. This is my analysis article from earlier this week, and you could see this is deep dive stuff into the 49ers. So be sure to check it out. I'm actually going to go to some of these stats in a little bit. This is my game preview piece. That's Nick Bosa, 14 sacks. He thinks he can break Aldon Smith's record. Franchise record is 19.5, set in 2012. Nick Bosa said, yeah, I know what that record is. I think I could get it. I agree because the 49ers are facing some poor offensive lines here over the next few weeks. They still have 4 regular season games left. And Nick's at 14 sacks, so he only needs 5.5 sacks over 4 games. And based on how he's been going, I mean, if you single team Nick Bosa, he's going to get a sack. So he's getting double teamed more than any other edge rusher in football. But you can't double team him forever if the 49ers start to produce elsewhere on the defensive line, as has been the case lately. And if D'Amico Ryans continues doing a good job with timely blitzes. And that was the case in Cincinnati. So I think Nick Bosa is going to eat some more. Did you really get a custom Lombardi jersey? Sorry, we got to interrupt the show because my literally one's on the way. My girlfriend got one, and it says Lombardi. It's my favorite number 17, a 94 jersey. So she's going to be wearing it out in Tennessee. She's from Nashville. Titans fan who is no longer a Titans fan. The 49ers are playing at Tennessee, and she's going to be wearing a 49ers jersey. I'm sure that you guys are going to be happy to get that. Oh man, that disappoints me because there is one jersey out there, but I guess you need to go reconsider your priorities if you haven't. Barack O'Niner says no, just kidding. So go ahead and if you change your mind, I'll sign it for you. I just got my eye. I was saying something about Nick Bosa, and you distract me there with this jersey talk. But yes, convert it. I've got to keep it neutral, obviously, but I cover the 49ers, and she's going to the 49ers game, and she reads the Athletic. I converted her to the Athletic, and just based on following the 49ers from Nashville, she has become a fan. Now, she's from SEC country. She went to Auburn, so she'll never become a West Coast football fan when it comes to college sports. So the best that she can become is a West Coast fan when it comes to the NFL. So she likes the 49ers. I'm sure that makes all of you happy because I think it's mainly 49ers fans that watch this show. Just a hunch. Okay. So let's get into this. The 49ers and the Falcons. I was talking about Bosa. Lost my train of thought because I saw that funny comment about the jersey. Good stuff. Love interacting with you guys. And I'll talk more about Nick Bosa. I'm sure I'll pick up my train of thought throughout these 7 keys. Key number 1, remember that the Falcons are bad. You know, I do this DVOA breakdown of every 49ers opponent. You can see it here on The Athletic today in the game preview. Blue means good and red means bad. Anything below average is red, right? Anything above average is blue. I have never made a DVOA breakdown of a 49ers opponent where there is not a single speck of blue. The Falcons are red across the entire board. So you can see here, total offense ranks 29th. Total defense ranks 30th. Special teams rank 30th, and they're dead last in the NFL. This is behind even the Lions, the Jets. Name your favorite bad football team. The Falcons are worse than them when it comes to DVOA. So how the heck is Atlanta 6-7 and technically only a game outside of the NFC playoff race right now. They're, not that far out from that 17 playoff picture. Well, it's simple, and I wrote about it today. The Falcons have only beaten weaker teams on their schedule, and all 6 of their wins have come by possession or less. In fact, if you look at the DVOA rankings, which are fairly predictive, especially compared to record, it's a much more sophisticated way of looking at stuff. The Falcons are 1-5 against teams ranked in the DVOA top 15. They've only beaten the number 13 Saints, and I think that was by 2 points. Over games against the number 15 Eagles, the number 1 Buccaneers, who the Falcons have played twice, the number 3 Cowboys, and the number 2 Patriots, the Falcons have lost by an average score of 36-10. So they just go out and get boat raced by good teams. That's the MO on the Falcons. And the 49ers, yeah, they're a good team. They rank number 8 in DVOA. In a wild, chaotic year, I know that it's been tough to figure out what to make of the 49ers, but in general, on the aggregate, they have been efficient. So this is another game for Atlanta against a top 10 DVOA team. Those games have not gone well for the Falcons so far this year. So remember that this Falcons team is bad. That's the first key. So why do I bring that up? Well, because that puts some pressure on the 49ers. This is a 49ers team that is playing for a lot right now. And I get that Atlanta is playing for a lot too, because they're still in this race at 6-7, despite being bad efficiency-wise. But when you look at a more talented roster like the 49ers have, getting ready to face a less talented roster like the Falcons have, you can think about upsets in like week 5, week 6, week 7, during sleeper portions of the year. But this is no time for the 49ers to fall asleep at the switch. We're late in the year. The 49ers, this is, by the way, a very high leverage game as well. I wrote about this. You could tell in this chart, and I know that it's probably a little bit too small for you to see, so why don't I click on it? We can make this big and blow it up onto the screen. This is from Pro Football Focus, the playoff probability department. If you zoom in on the 49ers, and yeah, it's going to let me zoom in. I can make this big. Take a look at this. This is playoff probability leverage for week 15 for each team. The 49ers are right here. You can kind of see my cursor. If the 49ers lose this game, they'll have about a 35% chance to make the postseason. However, if they win, they'll have about a 90% chance to make the postseason. That is a difference of 55.7%. Okay? That's the largest leverage gap in the league this year. 55.7% of probability rides on this game for the 49ers. And the reason I bring that up is maybe the worst Falcons team, there might be an excuse for why they would, sneak up on you in week 5 early in the season when stuff doesn't matter as much. But we know the stakes. The 49ers know the stakes of this game. And a 55.7% leverage gap where the 49ers are unlikely to make the playoffs on one end if they lose and virtually certain to make the playoffs on the other end if they win, those are massive, massive stakes. So there is no excuse for the Falcons to sneak up on the 49ers in this game. And that's why I say with confidence that if the 49ers don't go out and beat the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday, I'm not sure that they're legitimate playoff contenders. We'll go out and say, no, they're not. They might make the playoffs still, but good teams have run the Falcons out of the building this year. And the 49ers have shown us signs that they can be a good team. Now they have to wrap up the present, deliver the package before the postseason. And one of the things they have to do is go out and beat this Falcons team. And I would prefer for it to be convincingly if the 49ers are going to satisfy my requirement for them. So that's my main keys. The Falcons aren't good. You could see across the DVOA, it's all red. The 49ers need to go out and take care of business at home on Sunday. Key number 2, now we get specific. Attack Kaleb McGary at right tackle. This Falcons offensive line is obviously not good. They're not terrible, though, and they do a few things well, okay? So Matt Ryan, obviously, is the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. He's a veteran. He's 36 years old now. He's Mike McGlinchey's cousin. Mike McGlinchey, as a 10th grader, dunked on Matt Ryan at a graduation party when Matt Ryan was already an NFL quarterback. Unfortunately, no Mike McGlinchey in this game, obviously, for the 49ers. We'll talk about that in a bit. But Matt Ryan, we know he's smart, he's skilled, he might be old. He can get the job done if he has plenty of time. The thing is, this Falcons team hasn't given him a lot of time this season. And the 49ers defensive line has been able to eat against suspect offensive lines. In fact, over the past 2 weeks against bad offensive lines, we've seen the 49ers D-line deliver 2 of their best outings of the season. That was against Seattle and then against Cincinnati. I think there are similar holes on this Atlanta offensive line, and I'm going to start with the one at right tackle. That's Kaleb McGary. Now, the left tackle for the Falcons is their best offensive lineman. That's Jake Matthews. Nick Bosa has lined up generally equally between the left side and the right side. He gets his pick when the 49ers huddle breaks over which tackle he's going to rush against. I think that you're going to see Nick Bosa picking Kaleb McGary more often than not. Bosa did the same thing against the Cincinnati Bengals. Isaiah Prince was the right tackle after Riley Reif went out. Prince was a teammate of Bosa's at Ohio State. Bosa knew exactly how to beat him, so Bosa lined up over right tackle and won over right tackle very frequently against the Bengals. Well, for the Atlanta Falcons, with Jake Matthews on the left side, maybe Bosa will see something in him that he wants to beat, but I think it's Kaleb McGary who's been giving up most of the pressure for Atlanta at right tackle, at least pressure against edge defenders. There's another weakness, and that's Jalen Mayfield at left guard. Now, he is the worst pass protector on this Falcons line. The 49ers, I think, can make some hay rushing Arden Key against Jalen Mayfield at left guard. Now, the key there, pun intended, is for the 49ers to slow down the rushing attack for Atlanta, and that hasn't been hard to do this year. The Falcons have not run the ball well. But if you get this team behind schedule, you will be able to unveil the NASCAR package. And as we know, the NASCAR package for the 49ers has been eating, especially over the past 2 weeks. Arden Key has been eating ever since week 8. I mean, this is one of the most staggering stat tables that I've seen in quite some time. This was part of my article the other day. Take a look at what Arden Key has been doing for the San Francisco 49ers. Weeks 1 to 7, he was ranked in the 100s. I mean, really low, near the bottom. There's only 113 eligible pass rushers. He had no sacks, 3 pressures, and a pass rushing productivity score from PFF of only 2.4, which is sorry. It's not good. Key was ranked number 109. Well, since week 8, Key is now ranked number 12 in pass rush productivity and has 5 sacks, which ranks number 10 in the NFL. So you have to tip your cap to Chris Kasarik and the job that he's done with Arden Key. And a lot of that has started after Arden Key moved for a handful of snaps per game to the inside. He's a lighter edge rusher, but if the 49ers get opponents into pass-obvious situations, well, then they can get Arden Key working on the inside. That's a huge key in this game because Jalen Mayfield has really struggled in pass protection for the Atlanta Falcons at left guard, and we've seen Arden Key work against that left guard position. In fact, the best pass rush that the 49ers put together from 4 men against the Cincinnati Bengals came with Arden Key beating left guard. You had Bosa, you had Key, you had Eric Armstead, and you had Samson Ebukam. And, you know, maybe if Bosa does work against that left tackle spot in Jake Matthews, maybe it's going to be Samson Ebukam getting some snaps against Kaleb McGary on the right side. And Ebukam is coming off his best game as a 49er. So just as this pass rush is coming to life, they get to face another poor offensive line. And Matt Ryan's not a mobile quarterback. So if you're the 49ers, you have to attack Kaleb McGary, and he's at right tackle, and you have to attack Jalen Mayfield at left guard. Those are 2 very, very winnable matchups for the 49ers, and we'll see how they go after them. But don't sleep on Arden Key. He's been one of the best situational pass rushers in football ever since that Bears game, and that's a big deal for the 49ers. No lapses against Cordarrelle Patterson, Kyle Pitts, and Russell Gage. These are the weapons for the Atlanta Falcons of primary interest. There is no more Julio Jones this time. Remember, he had those 15 catches against the 49ers, just really took over the building at Levi Stadium in 2019. And that's a funny, let's talk about that. The 49ers lost 29-22 to the Falcons, and that was a much better 49ers team back in 2019. But that had a couple qualifiers. A, the Falcons were better then than they are now, even though their record was worse. That was like number 15 DVOA for the Falcons. I mean, just the eye test for the Falcons between now and then. They're way worse now. They had Julio Jones back then, and that was still prime Julio Jones. And he just went out and took over the game and destroyed the 49ers. They don't have him anymore. Kyle Pitts is having a fine year, 700-plus receiving yards as a rookie, but he's not Julio Jones, and he's still a rookie. And I think the 49ers can effectively neutralize him in this game just with their pass rush against the offensive line matchups that I mentioned before. But Cordarrelle Patterson for this team, he's the weapon to kind of keep an eye out for now, I think, because he's the versatile guy that the Falcons can potentially do some tricky stuff with. So while that game in 2019, did highlight some issues for the 49ers, and it's funny because that 2019 defense was missing like 5 starters in that game. So they were more like the 2021 defense, right? It wasn't the overpowering 49ers defense. So you'd think that this 49ers team might be a little bit more vulnerable like the 2019 team was because it was injured in that game. You might think that Matt Ryan could pick on them, and he can. But if the 49ers shut down a weapon like Cordarrelle Patterson, who's in the backfield and is a receiver, so he's reminiscent of Deebo Samuel, right? I think they're going to be A-okay because then you just take away Kyle Pitts and you're fine. But if Cordarrelle Patterson confuses the 49ers defense, I mean, he has 547 rush yards and 519 receiving yards. That's second amongst all running backs in the league this year. You can also return kicks, as you can see with the 332 kick return yards. But if he's able to keep the 49ers defense off balance, and if the Falcons are able to call plays in such a way that the pass rush loses some of its steam for the 49ers because Cordarrelle Patterson's all over the field, running through tackles, using that strong, fast frame to, make the 49ers defense look foolish in the fundamental aspects of this game, well, then the Falcons may have something cooking. So it's important that the 49ers don't have lapses against Cordarrelle Patterson, especially, and then against Kyle Pitts, the tight end who lines up out wide a lot, against Russell Gage, who is the Falcons' top wideout. How do the 49ers make sure they do this? Well, A, it starts with the pass rush. B, they're going to be a little thin at linebackers. It's going to be important that they control that second level with what they have, right? Azeez Al-Shire, I don't think he's going to play with that elbow injury. The 49ers are going to be more careful with some guys because they played 2 games in 5 days. Tennessee is on the docket on Thursday. So, Talanoa Hufanga, I think, is going to be a big name in this game. I think you see the 49ers go to a lot of nickel and dime packages with that extra safety. K'Wan Williams is coming off a big performance against the Cincinnati Bengals. Guys like that are going to be important for the 49ers in this game. You're shorthanded in the linebacker room, probably no Greenlaw, probably no Azeez Al-Shire. Fred Warner's back. He's healthy, but you're going to need some more from that second level. And I think that's going to come through sub packages. Hufanga, especially if Cordarrelle Patterson starts doing crazy stuff, moving around, and you're not sure if he's going to be a receiver or a running back, it's going to take some of those smaller DBs to man up, because if the 49ers are nickel or dime more often than they typically are, Cordarrelle Patterson's a load to take down. So you can't have lapses against this guy, or he's going to run you over, and he's going to set the tone in Atlanta's favor. So key number 4 is a big one for the 49ers. Number 5, maintain passing balance. So now we are flipping over to the other side of the ball. The 49ers, since week 8, have done something I think that's very notable, and that's they've balanced their offense out. And I have this in the article from earlier this week. So I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. Hopefully you could zoom in. But the top is the 49ers ball distribution from weeks 1 to 7. You want ideally three receivers to be in the blue. That's yards per route run. That's an efficiency metric. That means that the receivers are running patterns and getting the football and catching the football and then running with it and basically producing in an effective way. If your offense doesn't have 3 receivers in the blue, at least 3, it's hard to get more than 3 because there's only so many passes to go around. But if your offense doesn't have at least 3, it's probably not going to be a very balanced and efficient passing offense. And in high leverage situations, opponents are going to be able to zero in on somebody and take him away. So as you can see in weeks 1 to 7, the 49ers only had 2 players in the blue. That was Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. And beyond that, Deebo had 63 targets and George Kittle only had 28 because George was hurt for 2 of those games from weeks 1 to 7. So this was not a a passing offense that was balanced enough. Brandon Ayuk wasn't doing anything, right? He had 16 targets and 9 receptions in 6 games. Well, fast forward to now, weeks 8 through 14. After that Chicago game, the 49ers figured it out. They have 3 guys in the blue. It's Kittle, it's Ayuk, and Samuel. Kittle is, just tearing it up with 48 targets. So is Ayuk, 48 targets, 38 and 32 on the catches. But Kittle's been the most efficient receiver in football, 30.27 yards per route run. And Deebo Samuel, even though he's been playing a lot of running back, is still in the blue. He's still an efficient receiver whenever he's asked to do that. Now, Elijah Mitchell won't be available in this game. So there's a lot of pressure on Jeff Wilson to get the job done for the 49ers in the backfield because you don't want Deebo Samuel running at volume. You want him as a situational runner, as a guy that tightropes that sideline, frustrates the defense, does all that good stuff, but is not doing it 10 to 15 to 20 times a game. That's where Elijah Mitchell's big, but Elijah Mitchell's not available. Maybe he'll be ready on Thursday. I don't know. Probably not. Shanahan didn't seem optimistic about that. So you need to hold down the fort until Elijah Mitchell comes back so that Deebo Samuel can focus a little bit more on wide receiver because it's unsustainable, especially if Ayuk or Kittle goes down, for Samuel to be playing so much running back. It's great. He's so skilled. He's awesome. Deebo Samuel, Offensive Player of the Year. He probably won't win it, but he should be in consideration because he's doing some crazy, crazy shit. But I'm sorry. You have to have standard running backs get the job done for this offense to be as efficient as possible. And while Elijah Mitchell's out, it's up to Jeff Wilson to hold down the fort so that the 49ers can maintain the passing balance in the aerial game. And, of course, a lot of that's relying on Jimmy Garoppolo. But Jimmy's been doing the job well, right? Since week 8, he's been playing some good football in 6 of 7 games. So I think that if you surround Garoppolo with the right talent, and the 49ers have done that generally here over these past 7 games, he's going to be able to distribute the ball to who's open. He's an executor of the offense. That's who Jimmy is. He executes Kyle Shanahan's offense, and that's what Shanahan wants, obviously, the quarterback position. So it's important that the 49ers have the right apparatus around Garoppolo to continue being efficient offensively, and that starts with maintaining passing balance. Now, to do that, they're going to have to expose Atlanta's weak pass rush. And, this is a key in this game. The Falcons have an NFL low 16 sacks on the season. That's 5 less than the next lowest team as far as sacks go. Dante Fowler Jr., who leads the Falcons with 5 sacks, is questionable in this game with a calf injury. So the bottom line is that this is a bad Atlanta pass rush, and it might be even worse on Sunday if Dante Fowler Jr. doesn't play. But either way, they've been anemic. They haven't been getting to the quarterback. Nobody outside of Dante Fowler has more than 2 sacks. Now, of course, Grady Jarrett is in the middle of this Atlanta line, and Grady Jarrett could still rush the pass rusher. He's a defensive tackle who's a game wrecker, and he's wrecked games against the 49ers before. We all remember 2019 when Grady Jarrett went to work against Mike Person in the middle of that 49ers offensive line. Well, in this game, he's probably going to be working a lot against Daniel Brunskill. The 49ers will dedicate, I would hope, extra attention to Grady Jarrett because he's still rushing the passer effectively this year, although he only has 1 sack. You neutralize Jarrett, you're almost home free, especially if Dante Fowler's not 100%. So take care of Grady Jarrett, expose Atlanta's weak pass rush, distribute the football. I'll keep on going back to this. Atlanta, they're in the red for a reason across the whole team because they're not good, okay? The pass rush is weak. The pass protection has holes. The quarterback is old. The best offensive weapon is probably Cordarrelle Patterson. Kyle Pitts is a good player too, but they don't have Julio Jones. They don't really force turnovers at a prolific rate. They turn the ball over too much. Nothing statistically or talent-wise about this Atlanta team makes you say, wow, these guys really scare me. They shouldn't. It's not a good football team. So the 49ers just need to execute these keys, and they're going to be fine. Finally, on the note of executing keys, the 49ers are 12-0 since 2019 when they don't turn the ball over. There's one game where technically that's the week 1 season opener of 2020 where the 49ers didn't technically turn the ball over, but they lost to Arizona. But they had a punt blocked in that game, and that counts as a turnover. So I'm going to count, for all intents and purposes, the 49ers are 12-0 since they've had a good roster, right? That 2019 season is the first year under Shanahan that they had a plus roster. Maybe they had one in 2018, but Garoppolo got hurt too soon in the season for us to really know. They've first had a plus roster in 2019, and if they don't turn the ball over, they win with it. It's as simple as that. The 49ers are better than the Falcons. I've spent the last 25 minutes illustrating how that's the case. I hope I've convinced you by this point. And if I haven't, I'll add that the Falcons have a negative 108 point differential. That sucks. It's really bad. Only 4 teams in the NFL are worse than the Falcons in terms of point differential. So anyway, Falcons aren't good. You saw the DVOA graph. It's all red. The way that the 49ers lose this game is if they beat themselves, if they don't show up on Sunday. And for that, I remind you that the 49ers are 12-0 when they don't turn the ball over. So hang on to the football. Remember, the Falcons are bad. Attack Kaleb McGary at right tackle because he's a way worse pass blocker than Jake Matthews at left tackle. Attack Jalen Mayfield at left guard because he's been a sieve at that position. Make sure that you avoid the defensive lapses against Cordarrelle Patterson, Kyle Pitts, and Russell Gage. And I think the fact that Dontae Johnson is back now with the 49ers and will likely start at cornerback will help them have no lapses on defense. Now, Dontae Johnson isn't a plus player, but he's a good fill-in, right? He makes sure that there aren't major screw-ups on the back end. There were some screw-ups with Ambrey Thomas last week. So, especially in a game against the Falcons, you play the higher floor guy. And Dontae Johnson is definitely the higher floor guy, even though he doesn't have that high of a ceiling. That'd be a funny name for a player, Dontae Ceiling, moving forward. But I think Dontae Johnson is going to be a good kind of stopgap in that 49ers secondary to accomplish key 4. On the offensive side, maintain passing balance because that's been a thing for the 49ers since week 8. That's up to Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's up to that 49ers offensive line to make sure they expose Atlanta's weak pass rush. We talk about Tom Compton struggling in pass protection. I mean, this is something I also wrote about the other day. Take a look at this. Tom Compton, since he started in week 12 for the first time, has the number 2 run blocking grade of all tackles in football, better than even Trent Williams, but he's number 48 of 53 tackles and pressure rate allowed in pass protection. So he's great at run blocking, but he's terrible at pass protection. If there's ever a game that Tom Compton's going to do a little bit better in pass protection, it's against an Atlanta team that's last in the NFL in sacks. So that's why the 49ers can expose Atlanta's weak pass rush. Maybe you see Jimmy Garoppolo throw a bit more because Atlanta's better against the run than they are against the pass because they can't rush the passer. So it's going to be interesting. The alignments are what dictate whether the 49ers run or pass up front, right? The DVOA doesn't dictate that. What Atlanta does, if they're in 6-man fronts, the 49ers will pass. But if it is a lot of pass situations like it was in Cincinnati when the 49ers passed 41 times, well, just remember that Atlanta is not good at rushing the passer. And maybe this is a game where Tom Compton and those guys can get a little bit more confidence because the 5 sacks the 49ers allowed against Cincinnati, at times that was hard to watch. I mean, the past 2 weeks have seen some straight drop back situations where Garoppolo just hasn't had a chance. And I don't care if he is mobile, at the level of a Herbert, he wouldn't have had a chance in some of those situations. So the 49ers need to expose that weak Falcons pass rush. And while they're at it, they need to remember that not turning the ball over generally means a victory. It's always meant a victory since 2019. All right. Any questions here? It's Friday night, so I know people want to go about their lives, but I thought I'd make this show because tomorrow I'm headed back to the Central Valley to see my parents for our Christmas dinner. Then I'm going to be in Nashville. Obviously, my girlfriend lives there for Christmas with the 49ers and the Titans playing on Thursday. It's going to be a lot of fun next week. David, do you think we can bang with the Bucs with the Cards or Kansas City? I just don't feel confident about our secondary and feel other teams will exploit it. Well, that's why it's important that the 49ers hog the ball. If they're going to bang with all those teams, they needed the formula for the 49ers this year is possession on offense, long drives. Hold the ball and count on Chris Kasarik to get just enough out of the pass rush. It's kind of like Star Wars, right? Where they're trying to get the shield generator down. And this is Return of the Jedi. Lando is in charge of the Millennium Falcon. He has to get into the Death Star, but the energy shield's still around the Death Star. So he's relying on Han Solo and Princess Leia, everybody down on the planet. That was Endor. That was filmed in Marin County, by the way. A little fun fact for you. So that was filmed in the Bay Area. But everybody down on the ground has to take out the shield generators so they can attack the Death Star. So the 49ers want to beat Tampa Bay or Arizona or Kansas City. It's going to be a team effort like that. And then, there's that scene in Return of the Jedi where Lando's like, I just got to give Han more time. If we give him more time, he's going to get the job done for us. Well, I look at that as, okay, the 49ers offense has to buy the defense that rest, has to buy it some time. The 49ers offense does its job. That defense, I think with Chris Kasarik, you trust him. You trust him to get the job done. He's already developed Arden Key. Arden Key's already a plus situational pass rusher. He's working on Charles Omenihu. He's working on Sansa Mebucom. Those guys are showing signs of life outside of Nick Bosa. And if they come into the game rested and coached up and ready to go in the playoffs, and the 49ers have 35 plus minutes of possession against whoever they play, that defensive line can go off. And then all of a sudden, you're not as worried about the secondary. Will the 49ers execute that formula? I don't know. I'm not saying they're going to execute it, but I'm telling you what the plan is, what the formula for this football team is. Let's see. The 49ers have more aggregate talent, but should I be concerned about injuries to Ambrey Thomas and Elijah Mitchell? Of course, you should be concerned about the injury to Elijah Mitchell because he's the 49ers' top running back right now, at least with Raheem Mostert done for the year. I mean, Ambrey Thomas is in concussion protocol coming out of it this week. Took off the blue non-contact jersey. He'll likely play on Sunday. So I don't know if he's hurt right now, so you don't have to be concerned about that. But either way, even if he's healthy, I think Dante Johnson starts in front of him. So it's one of those situations where you used Ambrey Thomas last week because you had to in an emergency. You had to break the glass, right? And use the fire extinguisher there. And it was a rough start. But I think they might mix him in a little bit this week because that biggest potential growth comes after a rough first-time experience, right? And you want to get him back out there to learn from the mistakes and make the corrections moving forward. Question. Which team would you prefer the Niners play in the wild card round? Well, I had a video about that the other day, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and watch it. I kind of break it down. If the season ended today, they'd play the Arizona Cardinals. That'd be a 6-3 matchup right now, but anything is possible. The Cowboys are possible. The Bucs are possible. The Packers are possible. Hell, it'd be super interesting if the Rams won the division, but we're down at the number 4 seed, and the 49ers got up to the 5, which is probably mathematically not very likely, but that would mean the 49ers and the Rams play in 2 straight weeks, in Week 18 and in the wild card round. I think that'd be kind of cool from a schematic perspective. All right. That is going to be it for me tonight. I'm getting a little tired. Got to celebrate Christmas with the family tomorrow before the Falcons game and then head to the road. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you did, even if you didn't, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. It would be awesome to get as many subscribers as possible, as it always is. We're well over 5,000 now. We're growing fast. So tell your friends about the YouTube channel. Subscribe to The Athletic as well. Do everything. I mean, I have these in-depth written pieces, have the podcast, and obviously I do this YouTube channel so you guys can interact with me, see my face, and we can talk 49ers a lot. And I'm making like 2 of these videos a day now. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It would be awesome to get more and more of you on there. 49ers and Falcons on Sunday. Maybe another video before then on Saturday to help pass the time. We'll see. Maybe I record one right now and post it later. Anyway, everybody take care. Enjoy your Friday night.